Are you the kind of guy who knows not to step up to a row of urinals and flip-flops? Are you the kind of guy who knows not to fry bacon naked? You're probably also the kind of guy who knows, why would I buy a truck if I don't know absolutely everything about it? Couldn't find the awesome pair I have from like 1970. One hand. What's up? So in celebration of 1,500 subscribers here on the YouTube channel, that's right, that's 3/4 ton subscribers, we're gonna look at 5 talking points on these trucks. You can hear the rain. We're in a rainy afternoon here in Northeast Ohio, and I got a few minutes to run down the good, the bad, and the ugly on 5 talking points with this truck. After 3.5 years of ownership and after 45,000 miles, we're gonna look at 5 of the major talking points of the Ram Rebel 5th generation, so stick around. Talking point number 1, that 5.7 Hemi monster. Let's start with the good. The Hemi is an absolute beast, and it's iconic. Think Joe Dirt. There's a reason they've been around for as long as they have. Now, let's talk about the bad. There are a few bads. I would say you're gonna get bad gas mileage in a Hemi. I'm running 35s on my truck, as many of you know, and I'm routinely getting 14. That includes highway driving. So you're not gonna get a ton of fuel economy with a Hemi. Now, sometimes it's not about miles per gallon, it's about smiles per gallon, as you know. And you all know how awesome that Hemi growl sounds. It's an iconic sound. Now, in 2025, they're gonna be doing away with the Hemi. They're gonna be going with something called the Hurricane Straight 6. It's a turbocharged, but let's be honest, guys. When did you ever listen to a 6-cylinder and go, oh yeah, baby? Now, maybe you're one of those guys who's like, don't stop believing. I'm gonna get me a Hemi and I'm gonna keep the dream alive. Let's talk about the ugly with this engine. It's something that you see on the internet quite a bit. And that's the Hemi tick. Now, if we're being honest, these engines tick for one of 2 reasons. Either a broken manifold bolt, which I've already talked about here in the bad. It's a matter of getting them replaced, either changing the studs, changing the headers, maybe doing both. Or generally those go away after the engine heats up, because the metal, as it heats, it expands and it closes off the area where the gases are out of the engine are leaking. The ugly issue with these engines, now I've done some research and I found that some people say that this only happens to about 5% of Hemis out there, is the lifter tick. Now that's a more serious issue because it's an internal issue in the motor. Now, speaking from experience, I work with a guy, bought a Jeep Grand Cherokee, got it with the Hemi. The thing is awesome. It stance nice. This guy knows his stuff when it comes to auto mechanics. He started experiencing the ugly tick. That's right, the lifter tick. Now, let me tell you what, this guy, again, smart dude. What did he do? First thing he did was he got himself some Schaeffer's Micro Moly engine oil. He threw it in there, 7,000 series. After a day, tick was gone. No joke. I park next to this guy every day. I heard the tick. I also heard that it was gone. So my thinking is, if this stuff can reverse a tick in a Hemi, it can prevent a tick in a Hemi, which is why today I'm gonna be throwing in some Schaeffer's 9000 series oil. Yes, it's a little bit expensive, but when it comes to the preventative maintenance of your truck engine, how much is too much? I paid $150 for 12 quarts of the Schaeffer's. Is that too much money? This oil change is gonna cost me about 70, 80 bucks. I know a lot of you guys who are taking your trucks to dealerships and you're already paying that much, not knowing what kind of oil they're putting in there. So my recommendation to you is to get up off the couch, Susie, change your own oil, know exactly what you're putting in it, choose a product like Schaeffer's, rest easy. As I ready my tools here to get under this beast and perform an oil change, deep well metric 13, half-inch socket, you may be asking yourself, well, what causes this Hemi tick? All my research indicates that there are needle bearings that essentially wear out. And these can, if they wear out, they can also damage your camshaft. So all signs point to, I don't want that to happen. I don't want to have to tear my entire engine apart, put in a new camshaft, put in new needle bearings, yada, yada, yada. What causes it? Excessive idling is bad for these engines. That's why you're seeing that issue a lot in police vehicles that sit running for a long period of time. Now, just letting your truck sit and warm up in the morning, probably not going to cause this issue. I'm talking about excessive idling. Could be a contributing factor to the ugly with this engine, which is that lifter tick. All right, guys, while we let that oil drain, I want to talk about the next talking point with regard to these Rebels, and that's suspension. Okay, as many of you know, the Rebel comes 1 inch higher than other trim levels from the factory, which gives it that just slight little advantage over the rest of the trims. Now, you may be thinking, that's cool. Well, they also come with Bilsteins, stock from the factory. The good, that's good. It's also 4-corner coilover. So essentially you have no leaf spring in the back. At the 2024 Cleveland Auto Show, I was shocked how many trucks are still rocking the leaf spring suspension in the back. The Rebel does not. So the bad, well, the Bilsteins are great shocks, don't get me wrong, but they're only 4100s from the factory. So what I did was I swapped mine out for the 6112s. This thing runs smooth on-road and off-road with those Bilsteins. With the 6112s, you're gonna be getting new shocks that are wider, have more fluid in them, and you're gonna be getting new coils that are stiffer for the front. You're also gonna have the option to raise the front end a little bit more so than it was when it came from the factory, because despite the fact that these have a 1 inch lift from the factory, they do come raked just like any other truck from the factory. If you like that look, great. If you're like me and you'd rather your truck sit level, like a big boy truck, those 6112s are gonna be a great option on the 8th clip to level it out. I did it by myself. Actually, I have to amend that. I did that with some help from my father-in-law. If you're handy, it's definitely a doable project. You can check out my video on how I did it. You know, that's all good. The only thing potentially bad or ugly about that situation is if when you're compressing that spring to remove it, something goes wrong, or you try to take the top hat nut off without compressing it in the first place. That could get just a little bit ugly. Okay guys, thanks for joining me under the truck. You can see it's dirty, but it is not rusty, and that is why, you know, I have my truck professionally oil coated every season before the winter months here in Northeast Ohio. So far, so good. It drips for a good long while, but I've been real happy with the result. I'm gonna go ahead and put in, if I can get to it, the nut on the oil pan. As many of you know, this crossbar gets in the way of your oil draining, which is just a real treat. Now, that's not so bad. What's bad is the placement of this oil filter, as many of you know. This is a pain in the neck because to get up in here in the first place, you have to be able to fold yourself like a yogi. And then once you do, oil gets all over everything. I have a product that I'd like to show you guys here in just a minute that I'm going to use, and I'll let you know how it goes. All right, guys, the last time I did the oil change, I believe I showed you the Ziploc bag trick. Don't get me wrong, that still works. And you know, if you're not a fancy guy, gallon Ziploc bag works fine to catch a lot of that oil. I was cued onto this product by someone who watches my videos. It's called the Oil Udder, and it looks like a big old cow teat. And what it does is it has a magnet that sticks onto your filter, and as you turn and release the filter and the oil spills out all over, this catches it. It also has a nifty little plug so that you can hold the oil in the product itself. It also gives you the option to put a hose on the bottom to, you know, drain the oil to wherever you want. So I'm gonna use this and I'll let you guys know how it goes. All right, guys, I've already broken it loose. Next, I'm gonna see if I can get this product on there. Okay, there you go. It just kind of locks on because of the magnet. It's gonna require me to use two hands, and I'll go ahead and take it off and let you know how it goes. Okay, did it save me entirely from a mess? Not exactly. Was it a hell of a lot better than having nothing? Yes. What it allowed me to do was, when the product was in place, I was able to unplug and drain into this pan, as opposed to it just exploding everywhere. I took the product off to be able to get at the filter a little better and unscrew it with my hand, and that's where you're seeing the bit of a mess here. A little bit of extra oil on my parts, I don't mind. I pay to have them covered in oil to begin with. Some people might get annoyed with it dripping on the garage floor. You know, I get that. So, could have been user error, but it definitely helped. I would recommend this product over nothing, definitely. And with a little bit of practice, I have a feeling that I'm gonna be able to do it without making any kind of a mess. So highly recommend the Oil Udder. Besides, making a mess can be fun, right, guys? All right, guys, oh great, that's beautiful. While we're letting that drain, let's go ahead and take a look at another talking point. So far, we've hit engine and we've hit suspension. Let's take a moment to talk about where these trucks really shine, which is in the interior. I have the red accents. I don't care what y'all say, it's sexy. Now, that's all subjective. What is not subjective is the idea that Ram was really leading the industry in interior. Lots of gadgetry, lots of really cool stuff. Heated seats, big screens, beautiful center console, all kinds of Easter eggs, awesome interior. Again, it's sort of a matter of opinion, but I love the tire tread. The bad, well, already you can see my seat is already starting to wear like some of the guys are posting on the forums. I sat down once with a screwdriver in my back pocket, so That's my fault. It makes me wonder, just philosophically, how all of this stuff is going to hold up in 20, 25 years. If you're like me and plan to have the truck for a long period of time, you know, how is all this electronics going to hold up? I still have the dial gauges. I know many of the consoles have gone to all digital. Personally, I prefer the dial gauges. I like analog stuff, even though we're living in a digital age. So the seats, the propensity of lots of techie stuff to break, that's the bad. The ugly, let's go into the back seat here, is your back glass is going to leak in one of these 5th gen Rams. I don't care who you are, it's gonna leak. You're gonna get 2 cracks, one here and one on the other side, and water is going to come into this cab. That's the ugly. Mine has been changed once. It was changed at the dealership after I started having this issue. I took it in. They did a smoke test. They confirmed that there was indeed a leak. They pulled the back glass out. It was cracked in the frame. They got a new window. They had a local glass company put it in. I know I have a video on my channel about me messing around, pulling the headliner down, trying to put in silicone, trying to bulletproof my third brake light. Ultimately, none of that worked. That was for peace of mind for me. That was me being the DIY guy that I am, trying to find a simple solution. I took it to the dealer. They changed the back glass. So far, so good. I've heard cases of guys being on their 3rd back glass piece. Hopefully you have good luck with it. But if it does start leaking, take it to your local dealer and complain. Well, I gotcha. I just want to point out that, you know, after 10,000 miles, that's not terrible. That's AMSOIL. That's the last oil change I did. Because I had confidence in the product, I let it go for 10,000 miles. I usually don't. You can get carbon buildup. You can get sludge. You can get all kinds of problems. Obviously, you can have your needle bearings start to wear out and get lifter tick. If on these engines you don't regularly change the oil. And again, while we're at it, put in a good product. Schaeffer's 9000 series 5W20 oil. Let me go ahead and break it open here and we'll take a look at it. Here it is. Somebody said it's incredibly slippery. I don't know if you can... it's not quite as snotty as the Lucas oil stabilizer that I like to use, but oh, I can feel what they're saying there. It's got that micro moly. We're gonna dump in 7 quarts of this, and then we're gonna talk about our next issue, and that is brakes. Listen to that baby purr. That's after 7 quarts of Schaeffer's 9000 series of oil. I always start the engine back up, make sure there are no leaks underneath, and just listen. That is buttery smooth, baby. Okay, again, thanks for being with us, guys, for this video. We're looking at 5 issues on the Ram 5th gen, specifically this Rebel. It's a 2020 5.7, no e-torque, 3/4 ton pickup. We're gonna be looking at the good, the bad, and the ugly on 5 different issues. So far, we've talked about the engine. We have talked about the suspension. We've talked about the interior, and next we're gonna talk about the brakes. And you're gonna say, why? What? Brakes? Who the hell talks about brakes on an OEM vehicle? What'd you throw some Wildwoods on there or something? Nope, these are factory OEM brakes, rotors, and pads. Can I just say for a minute that these brakes have been great? I've owned Dodge products before. I had a Dodge Grand Caravan. I was changing brakes, pads, and rotors on that thing every 3rd oil change. I have a Dodge Charger. I'm on my essentially third set of rotors at 65,000 miles if you count turning them. I haven't had to do a single thing to the brakes on this truck. Now, I've probably just cursed myself by saying that, but for a Chrysler product, a Stellantis product, this has been a welcome change to what I have commonly experienced with their products. So I know brakes aren't something necessarily people want to get all excited about, but I'm excited about the fact that I have not had to do a single thing to this truck's brakes. Okay guys, as we wrap up here and we get to the final point here in the video, the 5 talking points, you'll notice that I'm getting dirtier as this video unfolds. Oh, that's why I don't want to work on my truck. Grow up. I'll bet you like boneless wings too. All right, the 5th point that we're making here on this truck, what you need to think about, or it's a talking point. It's why you got a truck in the first place. It's the bed. I happen to own the 5'7", easy to remember. Everything's 5'7". The Hemi's 5'7". The bed length's 5'7". Diamondback, crossbin bed. Now, you may be thinking, well, it's a truck. I don't want to cover it up. I want to use it, throw stuff in it. That's your prerogative. I've found this Diamondback suits my lifestyle needs just fine. Keeps the bed fairly dry when it rains. And if you remember my video on where I'm lecturing you about installing and fabricating your own bed lights, I've done that. And I've put them on this switch that allows me to turn it off when I want and on when I want. Now, as you remember, I installed these. Kind of wish I hadn't. Don't use them much. Somebody said, boo-hoo, they cover the bed lights. No, not really. You know, it's really not that big of a deal. So back to the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good, I can haul anything I want in this bed pretty much. I've done 4x8 sheets of drywall. I've done, 8-foot studs. I've done plywood. I've done, all those things that a typical homeowner might need to haul. I've been able to put in the bed of this truck. Now, have I been able to fit my 4-wheeler back there? Probably not gonna happen. I have a little landscape trailer though. So, I don't haul rock in this truck. I don't haul dirt in this truck. I don't haul mulch in this truck. I haul it in my dirty little landscape trailer. So it's all a matter of what you are looking for in a truck. If you went for something like the crew cab, this is a crew cab. If you went for a quad cab, it'd have a smaller door and it would have a longer bed. That's always a consideration. I just so happen to have 2 boys and they're getting bigger and bigger by the day. So it was important to me to have a larger cab because we use this truck when we go on vacations. We throw our luggage back here. It was important for me to find a solution that I could lock and keep rain out of for those reasons. So that's why, do I sometimes wish I had spent considerably less money on a truck and gotten an old 8-foot single cab farm truck, 8-foot bed, maybe sometimes, I wish I had gone that route. But by and large, I've been very happy with this truck. I've taken care of it. It has taken care of me. And I'm confident that your truck will do the same if you take care of it, and if you're smart about purchasing one that hasn't been abused. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. I'm getting, as I said, progressively dirtier. We've got the oil change. We've got the 4 tires rotated. Venom's going to be good to go for another 5, maybe 8, maybe 10, depending on how long I want to push it with that Schaeffer's 9,000 miles on her. She's coming up on 45,000. Like I said, I've had no complaints, no issues. But then again, I've done all kinds of preventative care and maintenance on this truck, and I have upgraded it, and I don't abuse it. I use it like a truck. I do occasionally stupid things in it, but by and large, I'd like to say that I take pretty good care of her. So we're coming up here towards the end. Just want to say thank you to all 1,500 of you that have chosen to subscribe to my channel. I do not create bullcrap content. I wait until I have something to say that I think is significant that may help you as a truck owner. Like I said, I donate every single penny of the money that I earn on YouTube, which is not much. Last year I earned $350. All of that went to Special Olympics Ohio. That is a organization that is near and dear to my heart. If you are a volunteer, you understand what that means. That's a work of heart. That is not a dollars and cents decision. So those of you out there that have heart, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for being you. Love you guys. See you next time. Just another note on bed length. I just so happen to have my dad's Ranger over here. It's a 4-cylinder, as he likes to call it, his girly truck. Am I a little bit butthurt that his girly truck has a longer bed than my big boy truck? No comment.